Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TEW2020 video. You join us for another episode of Dynamite as we're on the road to AEW End of the Line and potentially the last show before we can look into negotiations. That'll be upcoming around about Saturday in game for a potential second deal and some new TV deals around the globe, so we may be able to grow a bit faster globally. Domestically, I think we'll still be the same in the States and Canada. But so hopefully the game doesn't put it back because of the failed deal with City and makes us have to wait another 9-10 months for that. So there's that to look forward to. We have, I'd say, a pretty decent show. It puts us again closer to putting a full card together for End of the Line. Of course, still another 2 weeks worth of booking to do. And probably quite a safe main event. I feel it's a lot of talent and it does set up one of the matches for End of the Line. So we'll jump into it. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks as always for tuning in. Let's see how this episode of Dynamite does on TEW2020. So this week's show, we are in Rochester, New York in front of 14,614 fans. And we start off with some 10-man tag team action. We have the heels go over here. It was Eddie Kingston, Luster, Peter Avalon, Wardlow and Ricky Starks, and they pick up the win over QT Marshall, Brandon Cutler, Austin Gunn, Marco Studd and Michael Nakazawa in 9:33 when Ricky Starks pinned Austin Gunn with the Buster Keaton. Actually quite happy with that at 52. You can see there only one person's performance was over that. Sorry, two. Wardlow and Justin No More was Ricky Starks. So pleasantly surprised that it did deliver such a rating. But I felt like it was 5 guys that could use momentum and 5 guys that are effective at the moment just putting people over. We had Anna Jay pick up a win over Leva Bates in 5:09 by pinfall. A 23, a 35 and a 28. So a bit disappointing that ring stuff was good, but I think here maybe popularity has surpassed that, and that's why Anna Jay, obviously she's still not really over, but that's going to be a massive work in progress. We Kerry Hojo defeat Killer Kelly in 7:44 with a spear, just giving her a nice victory there. That was a 55. Kerry's 66 and Killer Kelly's 27 in-ring performance. Moving along, we had Mark Quinn pick up a victory and gain some momentum with a win over Colt Cabana in 9:18 by pinfall. This was a 55 rated matchup. Quinn with the 58. It'll be interesting to see how much popularity difference there ends up being between Quinn and of course Isaiah Cassidy when he comes back from injury in 9 months' time. And our main event of the dark portion of the show was a decent pre-show match. It saw Brian Pillman Jr. defeat Jacob Fatu in 12:13 with a Tornado DDT. So again, having that matchup take place. 68, Pillman gets the win again, a 67 v Fatu's 71. I think this would have been a safe 70 matchup if they had a bit of psychology, but they're still young. Hopefully that skill will develop. And after the matchup, again Fatu accepts, beaten by the better man, shakes the hand of Brian Pillman, a 71, and we are going to turn him babyface, which was a complete success. He's not a great babyface, but I would quite like to go ahead and have these two as like a, well, I've already got the idea of the tag team, and I'll just tell you it's lineage. Of course, many generations for both of them in the wrestling business, and I just think, yeah, I'd quite like to try them. I know we had Fatu with Cage, but I want to go solo with Brian Cage. Jacob Fatu will get there, but I can't have too many solo acts, so I feel another tag team is probably for the best. So we start the show and we nail the 100 segment. I'm absolutely milking the fact that Cody and MJF have 100 rated segments just to make sure we get that sorted. So the purpose of this one was just basically them continuing to talk down on each other, of course, the way the feud's been going. And Cody says, you know what, I'll put everything on the line here, MJF at End of the Line. Now it's known that obviously Cody can't challenge for the AEW World title, but he wants to cut MJF a deal. If Cody loses to MJF, Cody again will no longer be able to compete for the championship. That stipulation will remain. But if Cody wins, Cody becomes the number 1 contender. Should MJF lose, he can never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. And if he wins, then he becomes World Champion. So it's all risk and a big reward as Cody and MJF decide, you know what, fine, it can make the other person's career, life an absolute misery. And a 100 rated segment is going to set up what could be a massive matchup at end of the line. So, an interesting stipulation. It's one I thought of, and it's going to make someone's life a living hell coming out of end of the line. Of course, going into 2022. Opening contest of the evening saw AJ Styles defeat Catchpoint's Matt Riddle in 9:58 with a springboard 450 splash. This was due to a distraction from the Acclaimed, and more specifically Max Caster with a bit of a rap on Matt Riddle. It's a 71 here, Riddle's 73, Styles is 62. As I said last time, AJ Styles is phenomenal psychology. He might be losing it physically, but if we can at least get him over, then I'd like to hope he'll be in a position where, you know, he can have some good main event matches and hope develop more of their upper mid card to main event wrestlers. Within Ace Austin came out, he cuts a promo on Chris Jericho, which we got a 61, just basically explaining his actions of last week. He just says, we all want to know why I done what I done last week. Well, it's simple. When was the last time you saw Ace Austin on television? Exactly. That TV time has been occupied by a 50-year-old man in the form of Chris Jericho. When is this has-been just going to give it up and give an opportunity to us younger guys? He's had his spotlight, he's past it. This is about the future, this is about, not even us, this is about me. So, Chris Jericho, watch what I do to this jabroni that I'm going to face next, because one day this is going to be you, and I'm going to retire you for good. So Ace Austin was in action after this. He took on Sonny Kiss in a win in 8:34 with Ace's high. 56, a very good performance, it must be said, by Austin with the 70. Came out of the matchup looking good, but I think you know where that programme is going to go. Hype package for Samoa Joe. We didn't have time to put him in a matchup, so just promoting him and his victory over AJ Styles at Full Gear, which was a 55 segment. We had mixed tag team action for they put the championships on the line, what an idiot. But it's about anyway. They had terrible wrestling, not a lot of heat, with Kenny Omega and Hikaru Shida defeat the team of the Butcher and Alex. Have had the Blade team for before. And 7:04 when Kenny pinned the Butcher with a one-winged angel. Butcher the weak link, Kenny carried the match up. A 91 performance from Kenny. His performance really stood out. And Ali and Shida with some respectable performance as well, especially when Ali was off her game, but that was a 70. And after the matchup we have a complete beatdown. Shida doesn't know what to do as Sir Brody Lee just absolutely decimates Kenny Omega and puts him down with a discus lariat. 83, so a lot more to come with this programme, but I think you've got an idea of where it's going to go. Acclaimed, bit of a promo laughing at Matt Riddle, just laughing at him, laughing at obviously how bland and boring Drew Gulak is, and says this is the guys that AEW are giving opportunities, not to upcoming guys like us that can rap. So a 39 there. We had terrible wrestling and non-existent crowd heat as Prince Devitt scored the victory over John Silver in 7:56 with a flying double stomp. This was only a 59. Silver, obviously a long way to go, so Prince Devitt shines in this matchup, and it's obviously a bit of revenge for him, considering it was Silver that caused the DQ, I think, at Full Gear. So one win over the Dark Order. He cuts a promo after it and he just says, well, Darby, you were lucky to survive your TNT Championship at Full Gear. You obviously had to bring the numbers game in with Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. Well, I'll tell you something, I've got the Young Bucks by my side. They're in action tonight. They'll get the victory over the Dark Order members there. But if you want to go 3v3, anytime, any place, and we'll meet you there, pal, because it's the BC for life. So, strong 86 promo there from Prince Devitt. I moved into a decent reaction from the crowd and subpar wrestling for this bout, as with Mercedes Varanado get a tough victory over Nikki Storm in 11:47 with a back statement. For someone that's not been on television for a little bit, a 70 is really good for Nikki Storm. Who'd have thought she'd been teaching rings around Mercedes? But I'm hoping that's the case, that then a programme with Mercedes is basically going to help elevate her. So Nikki could be doing I was going to say jobber to the star, but effectively she is kind of the star here. She's more over. But 68's good, and as I say, that's really where we want our women's division to be heading, and then eventually into the 70s. And after the matchup, we have basically Mercedes continuing the beatdown of Nikki Storm, and then Chelsea Green debuts, and you know what? She joins in. Her and Mercedes continue the beatdown of Nikki Storm, and Chelsea debuts the crazy gimmick here. It got poor, which is a bit disappointing. She performed poorly, and this is a 56. I know it's another recruit to AEW, but she obviously performed at All In, and I feel like she is someone that they would try and get if the opportunity arisen. So looking forward to what they've got with Mercedes and Chelsea. There's going to be a faction building, and it's going to take a few more steps, but I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully it's just a case of this place is going to be crawling with factions, but if it means more superstars get over, or more performers get over, we'll be delighted. Co-main event for the evening had a good wrestling match and a decent reaction from the crowd as the Young Bucks defeat the Dark Order in 12:20 when Nick Jackson pinned Evil Uno with a Meltzer driver. This was an 80, solid, 91 for Nick, 86 for Matt, 62 for Grayson and a 56 for Uno. These two teams, obviously, the former Super Smash Bros, teaming up against the Young Bucks. They've obviously a massive history, and yeah, just looking forward to booking these alongside Darby and Devitt. And the Young Bucks, obviously, far more over. They ain't going to do the job here, so they take the win. Which leads us into tonight's main event. And it is an absolute brainstormer. Fantastic. We are starting to get there now. Thank you, CM Punk, joining Mauro Ranallo at the announce booth. Because even with a lack of psychology, this matchup delivers. It was an exceptional matchup. We had the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix defeat Pac and Will Ospreay in 20:55 when Rey Fenix pinned Ospreay with a Meteora. 89. Every performance was over 90 bar Pentagon's 87. And obviously you get the great chemistry between Penta and Phoenix. The psychology maybe took this down from maybe about 92 or 93. Which is crazy, but one I'm really happy with. Don't be surprised if I abuse this feud. But of course, how does this set up what's going to happen going forward? Well, Ospreay's down, and Rey Fenix just starts absolutely laying the crap out of Pac with a ladder. So 84 for that. Phoenix then does a big dive off the ladder, taking Pac out. That's the planned feud going forward, Phoenix and Pac. I said I wanted to really push Rey Fenix, and I'm looking forward to this matchup. These two for the championship. Cannot wait to book it. So overall, 90, increase of popularity in 49 regions. It makes you wonder the pop gains we would get if we were proper networks across the world, not just TNT and a few places here or there. But another one where we get the simple main event that does really well. We abuse the Cody and MJF thing, and it gives us the opportunity to experiment in the mid card and really just have some surprise wins and a couple of just matches to get people gain momentum. So overall happy with it, and I think that goes down as the second best show in AEW history, which is mental when you think about it. So Tyson Kidd retains his contract with WWE. We had fantastic reviews. We've got new contracts to negotiate for Yuka Sakazaki. We've got one for Nyla Rose. Arn Anderson says Max Caster has a lot of charisma. Ali's unhappy at jobbing, and we have a 2.55. So the TV ratings, hopefully after this, can start going up, but I won't have real information on that until next week's episode, whether it's more time of doom and gloom with TV deals, or if we're going to be hitting ridiculous numbers. So going forward, there is still a few people that have to debut. As I say, once people became available, they were signed. So there's still a couple that just have to put into storylines. I think there's like 2 or 3 women, and then the rest are men. But it's all people that I could see signing with AEW. They all have probably an indie connection, which is why I feel they'd fit perfectly. There's one that was never on the indies, but yeah, he can just wrestle, and he's a very, very good wrestler. Sports entertainer not so much, but wrestler yes. So some of them you might not see until we go to the brand split, just to give more opportunities for people. But that said, thanks very much for watching. It's much appreciated. Hopefully you'll join us next week as we continue the road to the end of the line and we get ready to hit 2022. So as Kenny Meg would say, good evening and good night. Bye bye.